Hello everybody, it's Tim here again, here another movie review, this time for Space Jam: A New Legacy. Now this is an interesting one. This movie has a alright to good audience rating on Rotten Tomatoes in terms of the percentage. Now for people that don't know how Rotten Tomatoes works, it's pretty much tries to calculate up how many people like something, not so much whether something's good or bad, but really how many people like something. The critic rating is extremely low. Critics hated this one. And critics hated the first Space Jam. Now, I don't really care about what critics think, to be honest. And as far as the first Space Jam goes, I was like never into basketball and sports. I never cared about it. When Space Jam, the original, came out, I watched it as a kid, and I didn't really care about it, to be honest. I just thought it was kind of eh. I like the Looney Tunes, I like the cartoons, and I still do. But I never cared about Michael Jordan or basketball, to be honest. But in later years, once I got older, I started to be able to appreciate the movie for how much just silly fun it was with the fact that it was Michael Jordan, because I started to understand like his celebrity and all that. And now pretty much the biggest basketball player is pretty much LeBron James, hence why we got this sequel. Now they had other Looney Tunes movies in between this, like they had one, Looney Tunes Back in Action, which bombed, which actually isn't that bad of a movie. That I've got it on DVD. It's not that bad. That one was much more like an actual Looney Tunes movie. Both this movie, Space Jam: A New Legacy, and Space Jam Part 1, or the first Space Jam, are both gimmick films. These are movies for people who are fans of these particular athletes. That's what they're made for. Sports fans, basketball fans, and for people who are fans of these particular athletes. That's exactly what these films are made for. If you're not a fan of LeBron James, if you're not a fan of Michael Jordan, you are not going to probably like either one of these movies. I will be extremely surprised if you do. To be honest, after watching this film, some fans of the original Space Jam really don't seem to like this one. As far as like where I fall with this film, to be honest, after I've just finished it, I didn't think it was that bad. I'll say this: for what it is, I didn't think it was that bad. As a movie, it is bad. Like, critics are not wrong for the low percentage score of how many of them like this film, because this is a bad movie, but so was the first one. These are movies, once again, catered to a specific audience of people who like LeBron James and like Michael Jordan, and that's how this film needs to be judged, just like the first one needs to be judged for Michael Jordan fans. So for what it is, for LeBron James movie, looking at it from a fan perspective of a LeBron James fan, with him playing with the Looney Tunes and that being the whole gimmick of the movie, I thought it was fine. I judge my movies from 1 to 4 for and I judge films for what they are. I don't judge every film by the same standards. Like, I'm not going to a Space Jam movie looking to judge it and hold it to the same standards as The Godfather or a Christopher Nolan movie. From 1 to 4, for me personally, this was easily a 3 out of 4. For what it is, this is a 3 out of 4. This is not a good or great movie, but for the product that it is, entertainment-wise, for LeBron James fans, I found this to be a 3 out of 4. A good, fine time. Easily something I could put on for my kids who are fans of Looney Tunes and basketball and just let them watch it and enjoy it. It's perfectly average, I thought. Perfectly enjoyable, fine movie from 1 to 4. And this is not a sequel to the first Space Jam. This is probably already known, but it's not a sequel. It's not even a reboot. It's just another, like, totally standalone movie about, like, a similar subject, the Looney Tunes playing basketball with a basketball star. That's pretty much the only connection whatsoever to the first one. It's completely its own thing. It's not a remake or a reboot of the first movie. It is 100% its own movie. Pretty much you got Don Cheadle, who's like a computer program named Ali G, or Algorithm, who wants to get LeBron James or whatever because he hates him because he turned down like his whole computer system or whatever called the Serververse, which is made up of just Warner Brothers properties, which is pretty funny. I will say that this one does try harder to sell merchandise, and the story here is more kind of generic than the first film, because it's more about like a father and son. Like LeBron James has problems with his son because he wants his son to be a basketball player like he is, but his son wants to make video games, and so that's the whole like problem between the two. And they both get zapped into the virtual world where Don Cheadle's at, and Don Cheadle's a computer program, like I said, who's mad at LeBron James because he turned down like Warner Brothers' offer, which to work with him on this like virtual project or whatever. And he's like, celebrities being actors never works out, which I thought was kind of funny, obviously doing a nod here to himself. Neither LeBron James or Michael Jordan, either one, are good actors. Neither one can act. They both just play themselves. That's what they're hired to do. That's what they do. They're both bad actors. They both are fine in both these movies. Depending on whether or not you're a fan of them will depend on whether or not you'll enjoy whichever one of these movies. If you don't like either one, or if you like one and not the other, chances are you'll probably hate their movie and like the other one's movie, or vice versa. Um, but yeah, he gets zapped into the virtual world. They get separated. He goes to meet up with the Looney Tunes. Then you kind of find out that the algorithm Don Cheadle character, Don Cheadle is great here. He was a lot of fun. He's the best acting in the movie, obviously, human wise. And he goes to the Looney Tune world, and it's Bugs Bunny there, and he has to like go around to different worlds in the serververse, which are all different like Warner Brothers owned property worlds, and collect the other Looney Tunes characters because they're all like spread out in this universe, which was kind of neat. I had actually more fun with this part than when it came to the actual basketball because, like I said, I don't like sports, so I had to put myself in the mindset of someone who does like sports in order to get into this movie because I really don't care about basketball, to be honest. So when they were like, so for me, the more fun part was them going to like different worlds and all that, like Warner Brothers movie themed worlds. And they went to like Mad Max World, and Wile E. Coyote was there, like holding up a sign like "Witness Me," like Mad Max Fury Road, and spray painting his teeth and everything. That was kind of cool. And he's chasing after the Roadrunner. And Lola Bunny was with Wonder Woman. They had the Zack Snyder like Wonder Woman theme playing. That was really cool. And trying to think, Granny was in the Matrix. So I thought that was pretty funny. Um, but yeah, they collect each other and then they get together to get to the basketball game. I will say this movie's a bit overlong. One thing I did think was cool is they go to like DC World and Daffy Duck's like posing as Superman, and Bugs Bunny and LeBron show up as like Batman and Robin, and LeBron is Robin. Another thing interesting is they changed like animation styles like over and over in this film from like different worlds over and over. It almost felt like they were trying a bit too hard to maybe outdo the first one in terms of just like making things really big in the movie. But you get to the end, they're all together. They're going to do battle with the Don Cheadle's team, and LeBron's son is on the team, and it's made like a video game, which is what kids are really into these days. This movie has to target the audience of today, and not like people who like me who grew up in the '90s with the original or whatever. So once again, if you're watching this, you have to put yourself into the mindset. If you're an older person like me, that you are not the target demographic for this movie. Kids today are, and kids today like video games, so that's what they're going for. And it is kind of cool seeing them like be able to do like super jumps and stuff like that, do like platform things like from video games and everything, like double jumps and everything. It's almost this movie's much more like Tron meets Looney Tunes really than the original Space Jam, which is actually kind of neat. I did miss Bill Murray here; he was really funny in the first one or the other one. But yeah, you get to play in the game, and I will say this: like the squad that Don Cheadle puts together is like actual basketball players, and they get like superpowers. They're not as interesting as the Monstars from the original movie. They're just not. They're not as cool. I don't think. For me, they're not. They're just kind of more generic, like Waterman and Bird Woman and Snake Woman and all that. But they're playing basketball against them. But when Don Cheadle actually becomes a player in the game, that was kind of funny. And this one dude named Kronos, like Master of Time or whatever from literature, mythology, whatever. That's who that character is named after. That was pretty cool. How he could like freeze time. And once again, though, biggest problem here is the story is like extremely generic in how it does. Another thing is that LeBron is the star of this movie. It takes a little bit during the first act to actually get to the Looney Tunes, but if you're a LeBron fan, you'll be more okay with that. So I was willing to accept this is his film, not really the Looney Tunes. But when they come into the movie, though, they are a major part, and especially Bugs Bunny. I wish Daffy Duck could have got a little bit more playing time, though. He doesn't get to play as much like he did in that original Space Jam. I like Daffy Duck, but yeah. So in order to win the game, they got to stop playing by LeBron's rules. He's got to learn to accept other people for who they are, pretty much to accept his son. That's the metaphor we got going here. Which once again, it's a generic father-son story for kids. And he does, and the Looney Tunes go super loony, and they're able to win the game. Don Cheadle gets like digitally erased. They beat the game or whatever by doing like a glitch move. Bugs Bunny does it, which was kind of a cool like self-sacrifice moment because whoever does it like gets deleted, and Bugs Bunny gets deleted. And then I will say this was kind of weak. Like after that, it skips like a week later, and LeBron's like in the human world again, and he's wanting to send his son off to computer camp or whatever, video game camp, something or other. And then Bugs Bunny just shows up in the real world. He's like, "I'm a toon. Nothing can kill us. I told you that, Doc," or whatever. Because he mentions that earlier in the movie that nothing can pretty much kill them because they're cartoons, really. Which, yeah, that's true. I guess except for the dip stuff from Who Framed Roger Rabbit. But yeah, so he's just there in the human world, just out of nowhere. I don't even think it ever even mentions in the movie that these cartoon characters can come out of the video game world like LeBron can, but he's actually a human person. So it is kind of weird on that. That is kind of a weird ending. But maybe they're setting up for like a part 3. They hope that they can get where it's like them in the human world with LeBron and all that kind of stuff. And he's pretty much brought all the Looney Tunes with him, which I thought was pretty funny. And you get to see snap pics or whatever in the credits where they're all like hanging out with LeBron and stuff at his house and the pool and everything, all the different Looney Tunes characters, which was pretty funny. But yeah, so that's pretty much the whole movie. Don Cheadle was great fun. I will say this: I didn't find like I said, I didn't find the new villains like basketball teams as interesting as the Monstars, and they do have a cameo here. Like they're a part of the big group of Warner Brothers characters that shows up for the final game at the end. I will say this though, it was a missed opportunity to me in the climax of this movie for the bad guys like basketball team. What they should have done if they really wanted to include all of these Warner Brothers owned characters is had really popular ones on Don Cheadle's team, like make it like the villains in the different Warner Brothers franchises, and just have them on like his team. You could put Freddy Krueger in there if you wanted to, because Warner Brothers owns New Line Cinema, or even like DC villains like the Joker and stuff, and have them go up against the Looney Tunes. That would have been way cooler, and I feel like that was a real missed opportunity to pass that up and just have it be like the Birdman dude and Waterman. You didn't. That was kind of lame, but yeah, altogether, I'd give this a 3 out of 4. For what it is, just something made for pure toyetic entertainment value for children. I thought this was fine. I could easily put this on and let my kids watch it, and they would have a perfectly good time. One last thing, before I forget though, the animation at the end, like Don Cheadle does a thing where he turns LeBron human after he's been a cartoon for a while, and the other Looney Tunes become like 3D realistic animated to where almost like 4D animated, kind of looking almost like a 4D type thing, I guess that might be the word. But they're like almost realistic looking, where Bugs has like real like fur or whatever, and you can kind of see it in the previews and scenes from the movie on YouTube and stuff. I didn't like that look. I don't think you needed that, but I'm more of an old school traditionalist when it comes to animation. I was not a fan of that. All in all, I'll give it a 3 out of 4. I thought it was harmless for what it was. If you can accept this movie for what it is, just meant to be something for LeBron James fans, like I said, I'd give it a 3 out of 4. I thought it was totally fine, and it's only for that intended audience. As an actual movie, like judged on story and acting and all that, it is bad, and it would easily be a 0 or maybe a half a star at best. But so would the first one. So would the original Space Jam. Neither one of these are good films, but they're both entertaining, enjoyable films for what they are and who they're intended for. LeBron James fans who are children are going to watch this and really enjoy it. And this is going to be like a treasure classic to them for when they get older. And the same thing with the people who really enjoyed the original that came out in the 90s. The only real Looney Tunes movie out of the actual 3 that's been made live action wise has really been Looney Tunes Back in Action by Joe Dante. That's the only one that really feels like Looney Tunes. Other than that, both these other two are just Michael Jordan and LeBron James movies that happen to have the Looney Tunes in it. And I'm fine with that. I can accept these movies for what they are. Like I said, I think they're both enjoyable for what they are, in my opinion. I see no reason you shouldn't enjoy this if you're a fan of LeBron James, and I see no reason you shouldn't enjoy the first one if you're a fan of Michael Jordan, to be honest, at least to some extent. But yeah, they're already talking about doing a part 3 because apparently this is doing well, and rumor has it, or not so much rumor, but the director of this one is already talking about how he wants to bring in The Rock for the next one. I would not be surprised if they did, but it would be kind of weird to have Space Jam without basketball at this point. I know there were other ideas to do like Skate Jam and Spy Jam with Jackie Chan, and Skate Jam was going to have Tony Hawk, but the projects kept falling through. I guess it would be Wrestle Jam if you did it with The Rock, and that would, of course, be a movie made for Rock fans who are fans of wrestling. Once again, I don't like wrestling either, so I mean, I like The Rock though as an actor, so I could have fun with that. Hell, bring in Stone Cold, have him like wrestling with Daffy Duck. I'd be laughing my ass off, to be honest. So yeah, that's pretty much how my opinion on Space Jam: A New Legacy. I think the movie is perfectly fine for children to watch. I think adults, if they're fans of LeBron James, should have a perfectly good time. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you again.